Hey, Mark, how you doing, buddy?
Hi.
Hey, what's wrong?
Going on?
Good. Same old. I listened to you and Steiny yesterday, and I got to say, I want to start right here. I'm driving back from the Russian River, and I flip on 95.7 the game. The signal starts to pick up once I get off a river road, and I hear Steiny's voice. I don't know. And somehow, Fillmore Mike is ranking. I caught in right at this point. He is ranking.
This is right when you turn it on?
The meanest host to the not meanest host.
Apparently, this is right when Dibs turned it on about 5 minutes later. So all he did was hear Steiny call him mean without any context as why the subject. Yeah,
but Fillmore Mike was. I mean, he was naming Spadoni, Madsen. I mean, he named the entire crew. I'm surprised Oscar at night wasn't brought in as well as I go deep behind the scenes. But he said like the meanest person is Ray Ratto is number one, and I reject that because I actually think that he's similar to one of those egg Newberry. What are those things called that you get at Easter?
The Cadbury.
The Cadbury eggs.
It might be chocolatey on the outside and hard, but one little tiny fracture, and it's all gooey on the inside.
I told him, I said, look, is Ray actually mean, or is that just the shtick? Because if any other employee here at Odyssey, when this show's over, I'll walk to the elevator.
Uh-huh.
If any other employer, thank you, if any other employee walked by me as I was leaving and he was coming in, or she was coming in, and looked at me and just went, die in a fire, and walked by, I'd be kind of like, what the hell's going on? Who, right?
But that's his way of saying he loves you.
Right. Ray will say that, and you just laugh.
I know.
So I don't know if is he mean?
You would be weirded
Ray,
out if he said, "Have a great day, Mark."
Exactly.
Totally.
You know, you'd be like, "Whoa, what is going on?"
Except for
here?
you look good today.
But he'd say it like that. Have a great day, Mark.
I hope you have the
And I
greatest
hope
say
day.
exactly
and I
like
hope
that.
it's your last.
Yeah,
is what he would
exactly.
say.
Exactly.
But there's on-air Ray and there's off-air Ray. So for Filmo Mike, he doesn't know the Ray that we know. Like, for example, when I left on Friday, I clutched him in a deep, long embrace. It was warm.
From the front to the back?
It was passionate. Actually, both. Started in the back, started from the bottom. Now we're here. It was a full
Thank you, Drake.
Oh,
but
my goodness.
I know Ray differently than the listener knows Ray. So I'm curious where I ranked because all I did, here's me, guys.
Yeah.
I'm with my 6-month-old baby. You'll be there, Styles. It's wonderful. We're at the park. She's in the baby Bjorn. I had her in the stroller. There was napping. There was cooing. There was crying. The whole deal. I get in the car, and I'm like, I want to tune in to see how my guys are doing.
I know, the car crash.
Steiny allegedly
actually much better than I thought.
Allegedly a good friend, and Mark is my radio spouse. And I tune in, and within 30 seconds, Steiny's calling me mean. Oh, he's a lot meaner than you think.
Oh.
And I'm like, this motherfather. You want to get into name calling? 11:45. We'll get into name calling.
Listen, it was only about halfway through the show where I'm
Yeah.
like, boy, everybody tune in at noon. Because halfway through the show, I'm like, I don't know who's going to be more ticked off when they show up today, Dibs or Guru.
Guru
Why?
texted
What-
me.
why?
I mean,
what happened
just
to Guru?
because
Guru
the
was texting
whole
me.
show, like Dibs, yes, you got called mean. And what was the other thing he said about you? He
I
said,
got rat-a-tat-tatted on my
he-
day off.
Yeah.
Did
but,
I miss this part?
well, I just
I didn't think it was that bad.
Hey, Steiny,
no,
keep
there was
my
nothing.
name
Yeah, I
out
didn't-
your mouth.
We had a great time, and I think
Yeah, you did.
That's the point. Guru, I guarantee you, Guru's going to come in here and go, how come I don't get that, Steiny?
Exactly.
I want that, Steiny.
Oh.
I got 4 hours of just hanging out, Mr. Nice Guy.
Well, that's like when
and
your
Guru's
parents,
like, what the hell was this?
SOFT is what it is.
Yeah. When your
Because he comes in for the changeover and he's Captain Tough Guy coming at you, but for 4 hours, oh, Mark, what a great point.
Back in 1971, when I went to a Celtic game last, that was the funny part. When he was spinning the yarn on his one and only trip to Detroit, I was like, Steiny, you can't pick something from this millennium as a fan that you went to a game of?
There's nothing I can do. I have that effect on people. Apparently, he
love Steiny.
he softened up. And
He was good. You guys were good.
We had 4 hours of getting to know one another a little bit better.
It was good.
And then I was like, when I left here, I'm like, boy, Dibs and Guru can be ticked off.
Yeah, but here's what I would say. One correction.
back.
The meanest person at this station, without a doubt, and it's not even like, and B, I hope you're listening. I hope you're listening.
This
The
text-
biggest bully
this text came
on
in
the
right away.
planet at 95.7 The Game is Bonte Hill. I
I'm a
work with him
selfish
every
human
day.
being.
I work with him every day. I love you, Bonte. You know I love you. You are a bully.
Don't try to couch it.
He knows it. I'm not couching it. I'm telling him. I tell it to his face.
I'm wrong all the
He
time.
bullies me all the time. If I have an opinion that's wrong, he brings it up on pre and post game show. You know those guys that don't like Klay Thompson? Mully. And then he looks into the TV. He's looking at me. He's looking at me. He bullies our listeners. No, I'm just teasing. He knows I love him, but he is a bully.
Well, he's your radio spouse.
Exactly.
So
My wife's a bully too.
You're triggered by him more than maybe the rest of the people are. So just like any Mount Rushmore or rankings, all of our rankings would be different. But I'm trying to remember. See, Dibs, you came in, you missed the rankings.
Yeah, you weren't at the top,
and you only heard the reaction. Yeah. I think Steiny.
I'm sorry, I didn't listen all 4 hours.
No, it's Steiny was
Odyssey
right.
app.
He was right ahead of you.
Yeah.
I think on the meanness rankings. I think it went Ray, Steiny, you. And
Damon, I think, was ahead.
Oh, that's right.
Damon was ahead of you. Yeah,
Damon was up there. It was like Ray.
Damon would have been mad if he's not in the top 3 of everything.
No,
exactly.
It was right. Yeah, it was Ray, Steiny, Damon, and then you. And Steiny, I think, wanted to be a little bit lower, and he wanted you to be a little bit higher.
No, it's hilarious that the older we are, the angrier we also are, which is pretty funny. And I guess Captain Positive, you were at the very bottom of the rung because,
I wasn't last. Yeah,
No.
I wasn't last. And then
It was
Steiny,
like Madsen or something.
Yeah, Steiny was like, look, I mean, he wanted me higher on the list too. He's like, you're nice, but you're not as nice as you come off.
He did.
Yeah.
He did have a backhand compliment.
Yeah.
All right, you're
and
listening.
I'm fine with that.
to Roger Federer, by the way.
Mark,
Yeah,
you're not
welcome.
mean, you're needy.
That too.
That
too.
wow.
That
and
too.
then you said, I need you to stop talking.
I need
or
you to
something.
say something
you had a
else.
couple of good lines.
Yeah.
I was
That's
listening.
what I need.
You're listening to 95.7 kgmz-fm HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Download the Odyssey app and favorite 95.7 The Game. Go on YouTube, Twitch streams, hit the bell, hit subscribe. Come on, like us. You know you want to do it. Boom. Guys, we were having this conversation. I heard you guys talking about booing. Forget the booing part. Like, we booed Dunleavy. We booed Alex. We booed
Dunleavy.
I don't
We booed the
listen,
owner.
But
Right.
We
for
booed
me,
the agents.
real quick, not to bring it back. It's not about booing.
Yeah.
I'm not anti-boo.
I didn't say you were.
I don't
I didn't
do
say
it.
you were.
No, I know you didn't. The issue is not about booing from Carlos Rodon. The issue is that somehow, and mainly on the East Coast, we've decided that if you boo, you're a good fan.
Yeah, and vitriol
Booing
is
equals
rewarded.
investment.
Yes.
What you guys experienced
Yes.
in Philly, because they're a good fan base.
BS.
No, because they're acting out and they didn't get hugged as children. Like, that's what that means.
I want to hug you right now for saying
like
that.
stop with the we're good fans. No, you're morons who should be arrested.
I would be embarrassed if Niner fans were throwing things at Cowboy fans because it was Cowboys Niners. I would be like, come on, guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we would say those things. But I guess where I want to go today, and we were talking about this, me and Alan, I would love to see where you guys fall down on this. I know I'm unique. I'm passionate. I'm crazy. I'm locked in for all these, whatever it is, I'm there. I'm watching. I'm screaming and yelling. Are we, though? As a general temperature of the Bay Area, and it's unfair to just throw the blanket over everyone, are we less passionate, or are we just, when you're not as good, we just kind of tap out a little in terms of we're not going to rush to the phones and rip everyone for 6 months straight because we're stuck indoors because of the winter?
I know that we're passionate.
I agree.
And I know that, and it's in pockets. Depends on the sport.
Yeah,
and it
passion
depends
pockets.
on the West
Exactly.
Coast city. But I mean, again, how do you show your passion? I guess is really the answer we're looking at here. If you want to show your passion by drinking and showing disapproval and throwing things, great.
Yeah.
That's not that doesn't tend, I don't want to say like, broad brush. It doesn't tend to be how we react. A West Coast fan reacts to poor play with disinterest.
Yeah.
Right? But that doesn't, how can you say that the Bay Area is not passionate about sports? We had a basketball arena called Roracle. The 49ers won. The 49ers fan base literally won an award by a national ticket agency for being the best traveling fan base in the entire country.
While they're good.
Mitchell and S says over the last 10 years when we went there, the number one selling team outside of the Eagles in their flagship store, because it's Philly, is the 49ers in all sports.
If you went to a Giants game between 2010 and 2016,
While they're good.
But again, that's everywhere. Nobody.
Where were Sixer fans?
Yeah,
Right.
Where
You
were
love
Sixer?
to use that.
Nobody,
But where were they?
Nobody's packing places
Yeah.
with 60,000 screaming fans when you're 18 games under 500.
Exactly.
That doesn't exist.
The process.
It doesn't exist.
I think that what you said, both parts are true in terms of we are less passionate out here because there's so much else going on. And you look at, the state of the teams right now, and you mentioned it, when the Warriors were 15-50 in that year, where were the fans? They weren't passionate. Brand new building, and tickets were readily available, and no one showed up. So Yes, so you could look at other fan bases. There are more fan bases that are more passionate. We do passion differently out here. I agree with you, Mark, in terms of that. Like, we don't need to throw hot dogs at people and shower opposing fans with beer to show our fandom, but we are much more bandwagony out here in terms of if you're... Well, look at the Giants' attendance, for example.
But that's anywhere. That's anywhere.
That's not in St. Louis. These guys made a great point earlier.
It's probably everywhere.
For 20 years.
It's probably everywhere, but I think East Coast probably has a bit of a longer leash than West Coast. I think that you do get there in terms of the fair weatherness and, hey, we're going to stop showing up. But I think it happens quicker on the West Coast.
What about, okay, wait, just for 1 second. Washington Nationals just won a World Series. You can go to a game for $1.
Yep.
For $1.
That's a new team.
That's a terrible example.
Baltimore Orioles. Baltimore is one of the winningest franchises until the 90s. One of the winningest franchises.
So 30 years ago.
But like these are East Coast based teams that have no attendance.
So I think it's less about East Coast versus West Coast and more about those specific big East Coast cities. Boston, Philly,
Where are
New
Brooklyn
York.
Nets fans?
Yeah, Mets for years.
The Nets.
I'm just saying.
What about the Mets? Forget the N. Give me an M.
How about the Mets?
The Mets for
Yes.
years.
They just went to a World Series.
Right, but a few years ago, they had a brand new ballpark. It was empty.
Exactly.
Because they were terrible.
Yeah, but let's
That's
not
New
beat around the
York.
bush here. What this is about, as much as it's about sports, it's about East Coast versus West Coast. On the West Coast, we have the weather. We have different things that East Coasters already just think that we believe we're better. We think that we're better than them because of this. So they're not only certain things that East Coasters feel that they can take. And one thing you're not going to take from an East Coaster is how passionate they are about their sports, whether it's true or not.
But that's the wrong, again, for me, that's the wrong word.
Yeah.
Like, that's the wrong word to say passionate. Like, I don't think that we're better than East Coasters. I think our lifestyle's better. But I've never experienced their lifestyle.
Yeah.
They have to wait till 1 o'clock for the NFL to start, poor saps. I mean, like,
Could you imagine that?
I love our lifestyle. I also have only experienced this lifestyle.
It's just different. You go to dinner out there at 10 o'clock.
You don't
at
know
night.
how it is to shovel snow
Exactly.
and the Browns stink.
Thank God. And I do think that a lot of those lifestyle things are why the quote-unquote passion or focus on the outcome of games becomes a bigger deal in said lifestyle than it does in ours. But it's not about passion. The passion in so many pockets out here on the West Coast, all the examples I just gave here, the Laker fan base, the Dodgers when they're good. Look what the Padres are experiencing now that the Chargers had left.
Right.
You couldn't get into Fan Fest. There's passion, and every fan base, when it's not going well, that's kind of when we get the difference. They react differently when it's not going well. They go to sports radio and scream and let their lives get ruined. We go to Muir Woods.
Yeah.
We go to hike.
Totally.
It doesn't mean we don't care.
Mark,
It does mean we're less passionate because we have other options.
Yeah,
and
I don't agree
we can
with that
parse the word all you want, but bottom line, when our teams aren't good, our attendance, for the most part, suffers. Now, the Warriors at Oracle, the real Oracle, is a different story because of the nature of that product and also the marketing. And this is where I look at the Giants. And, you know, I heard you guys talking about earlier.
What'd you think?
The biggest issue with the Giants right now, it's twofold. One, they don't seem to be marketing their product like they used to. And two, they have no one to market. So everyone that comes in, and Mark and I had this discussion last week about, you know, their unwillingness to sign players to a long-term deal. And I know they tried with Correa.
Yeah.
They backed out for whatever reason, whether it was good or bad. We're going to find out. We're going to find out if that was a good decision or not in 6 years. And I look forward to that. But the bottom line is, if you're a Giants fan, who do you really want to sink your teeth into right now going forward? It's Logan. It's Logan and nobody else,
and I
right?
love Logan Webb, but I'm just trying. Like, I love Logan Webb, but like, come on, we're forcing him into a role. He's like David Lee. Like, we love David Lee. Like, right? We love David Lee. But there's a difference between David Lee and like Steph and Clay and Dre and their personalities. You know what I'm saying? And
their permanence too.
That too. But I look at Logan Webb and like he reminds me more. And we were making this a jump. More of a Matt Cain. He's not a Lincecum is a comic.
He doesn't
he
have
was
that
a Rocket.
Yeah, he doesn't have that thing. Like,
Yes,
I mean,
that's all.
Like,
he's a great player.
You know, Matt Cain, what's his nickname? Caner. Right? Like, what's Tim Lincecum's nickname? The Freak.
The
like,
franchise.
There's gotta be a hook. And so I agree with that. Like, I love
him. I don't want to make it sound like he's not a
lot
good
of Tim Lincecums running around.
No, they're very unique.
There is very much the possibility that 3 months from now, Kyle Harrison has almost surpassed Logan Webb in terms of that kind of vibe. Like, because he's somebody who has the makeup to really, like, pop a box score.
And he's local.
Right.
And homegrown.
Logan Webb's kind of local.
That's the
Yeah,
thing.
he's Sac.
Yeah, no, Logan absolutely.
Is. And Logan
absolutely.
wants to be a
He
Giant.
just, right. I
does.
mean, he's like, Logan
I love
Webb.
him, but he's not.
He paints the black and gets ground balls to second. Like, it's just like, okay.
Like Jason
You know what
Schmidt
I
was a
mean?
great pitcher for the Giants, and they acquired him. But nobody was like, dude, can't wait to go. And Jason Schmidt had like 3 great years with the Giants. No one's like, can't wait to hear Jason Schmidt talk today.
Right.
Well, the winning of 10, 12, and 14 was great, but it was also even better because they were all homegrown.
Yes.
A lot of those guys were homegrown, and then you sprinkled in with additions. And right now,
Hunter Pence.
this team, if you look at the 25-man roster, how many of those guys are homegrown? You got Logan Webb,
Crawford,
and Joey Bart. Crawford in his final year.
I know,
right? It's a Crawford farewell. But in terms of marketing, if you're the Giants and Stacey Slaughter, I don't even know if she's in charge of that anymore. But I want to throw that name out just to.
It's got to be an Alioto.
It's got to be whoever it is there. And you go up into that whiteboard. It's like, okay, what's our slogan this year? What is their slogan this year, by the way? Have they come up?
I don't know it yet. I don't know if they know it yet. I don't
Maybe
think
that's
they
their
released it.
slogan.
Have they
Hashtag
released
please
it?
come.
Dude, I mean, is that their slogan? We don't know. Because that's what it feels like from a fan standpoint.
So Supper, your
my
better
beloved
half,
Supper, loves the Giants.
Exactly.
God, she loves the Giants.
And so does my mother-in-law. But like, she's the kind of person like she'll watch all year and like, oh, like I really like this player or that player because she's watching the broadcast. And Kuiper. But getting her excited today about what's going to happen. If it was Aaron Judge or Correa, she'd be like, I can't wait to go to when are we going to go to see Aaron Judge as a family? Now it's like, are we going to go to any Giants games this year? Like, that was the text we got.
Wow, really?
Yes.
I hit her yesterday with, hey, pitchers and catchers, babe. The dirty look I got.
Exactly.
It was like, you better change that diaper before I mean.
You got a dirty look because of that?
Dirty look.
Why? What's her take?
Her take is that she could give a crap about this team.
Interesting.
Because there's nobody.
Jock Peterson.
She loves Brandon Crawford. She always has loved Brandon Crawford. She follows Jalen on Instagram, so I get all the updates.
See what I say earlier.
You're right. You're right.
And that's where, I get a lot of Brandon Crawford, Jalen Crawford material, but if I asked her to go around the diamond and hey, who do you think is going to be the
David VR?
Dude, who's your starting third baseman? She's not invested because there's no one in whom she wants to be invested. And that to me is the bigger problem. I mean, they could go 86 and 76 and be the third wild card,
which I think they will.
Okay, great year.
But by the way,
that
changes it a little bit. Like the examples of the last 2 years, there was no one in February of 2021. There was nobody who we were like, ooh, can't wait to watch this guy play. But then they won 107 games. And the fan base was like, I love these dudes.
But
like,
you had Buster Posey, Brandon Belt, and Brandon Crawford.
You have to have either or, though.
And Longo.
You can have a star. You can have a star.
But you guys are forgetting that Brandon Belt, the Brandons, and Buster Posey, leading up to 2021, very much so. The thought was, we overpaid and overextended these stays.
But known commodities. Known commodities.
Except for not really, because
big time they were.
But no, because Buster was coming off a year we didn't even play. The thought was this isn't going to look that good. Like Buster's not going to come back and play.
But you knew he'd be in the squad.
You know the name. And
that's worth a lot more than it is. I mean, Michael Conforto, Godspeed. And Mitch Haniger, I wish the best for you. But if you go out to a casual Giants fan and say, Michael Conforto, what?
So the question, though, is
that a pasta dish?
But if they hit 10 home runs in April, then does that change?
Right. It's marketing versus productivity.
Right. You're not going to. And the Giants know that. You're not going to win February. You're not going to win March. They're very aware of how
they could have won December,
yes,
but then they panicked and they bowed out on Colors Correa.
Mm-hmm. So, but like here's the problem with what they've built thus far. They could win 85 or 80 because I actually think they're going to win 85 to 86 games this year. I do because half of baseball is not trying. Like let's just put the rat on the table, Guru. Half of baseball is not trying. The Reds, the Pirates, just go around. Look at their payrolls. They're not trying. The Marlins are not trying.
You get to play them more this year.
But yes, you do because you don't get the 19 against the NL West.
Right.
Every guy's on a 1 or 2 year deal. So even if, let's just say, Conforto has a monster year, he's opting out, he's gone. It's Gosman all over again.
Right.
So at some point, what is the carryover? And that goes back to the little kid with his dad or with his mom or whatever going to the game. I'm coaching Little League right now, right? All these kids, I don't even watch baseball because the Giants are boring. But they all know who Bobby Witt Jr. is, O'Neal Cruz, who I like to bring up. They know Fernando Tatis Jr. Yeah. They couldn't name a Giants player.
So this actually is something we were just talking about in the other room. And I think all of these things, from what we're talking about right now, constant one-year deals, don't sign up long-term for a pitcher, to the boringness of the NBA All-Star game. It's all a product of analytics. It's all a product of not making the wrong decision, holding your body for the playoffs or whatever. And I'm sort of reaching the opinion, because look at baseball now. All in the name of analytics, all these things started happening on a baseball diamond that now they're making rules to change.
Which I'm so
wait
glad.
Wait a minute. You can't stand over there. And let's make the base bigger so that we can steal bases again. And a pitch clock, and all analytics built this thing, and now they're undoing the analytics with changes, which makes me think the whole idea of analytics is kind of short-term gain, long-term loss.
Yes.
Like, and that's something that I think sports, and especially someone like Farhan, really needs to think about. Like 107 wins, short-term gain, maybe long-term loss. So if you're not going to go long-term with anybody, in each individual year, you can go, well, we didn't make any long-term mistakes.
Yeah.
But you also, your game.
You're not building anything.
Your game is suffering.
Yes.
It's a terrible business model to build the fan, to keep the fan base.
The NFL's not suffering. Why? We never hear about analytics. Analytics in football means they don't practice on Wednesday and Thursday.
You might go for a 2-point conversion.
That's it.
Fourth down,
Exactly.
2-point conversion.
Well, I mean, if you talk about like any team's guards, like we know who the Niners guards are. If we went team by team, 32 teams, how many guards could you name on the 32?
Maybe 5.
One, because it's player in, player out, and ultimately it's the quarterback, it's the coach, it's a couple of the receivers,
the brand,
the tight end, whatever else, the brand, and the rest of it is interchangeable.
Guards, it's just all the trenches.
Exactly.
It's just the trenches.
The problem with baseball and analytics, and you're totally right about long-term gain, short-term loss, but the problem with analytics is what the Giants are doing is analytics busting, because ultimately the lefty against the righty against the lefty. Last year the Giants had like 80 different players participate in a game. So and the churn of a
Rubik's
roster.
Which also puts stress on your options, because you can only have a guy option so many times, so the player union hates it.
Well, and David VR is a great example, where if he doesn't pop and he's out of options, well then see you later. You are starting third baseman this year, but you didn't pop and you're gone. Joey Bart, the previous regime invested in you. You were a first-round pick, and you didn't pop, and you get to that point where pay you or cut you, and you're gone. So the baseball, the faceless churn of rosters now,
totally agree.
And it makes sense in terms of, Jock Peterson already is like, I'm only facing righties, and I'm making 19.6. I'm good.
It's ridiculous. You want to know what the biggest rule change is, actually? I don't know if you've watched some of the articles that have been leaking out. Everyone thinks the shift, which I think is a big one. But the number one thing for me, the biggest issue with pitching right now, specialized pitching is way ahead of the hitting. Batting averages have the lowest they've been since they lowered the mound, right? Basically over the last couple of years. When I heard Doval and all these guys say, I'm getting fatigued pitching so quick within the 15-second window, I said, hallelujah. Now we're going to take a little off the ball, and you're going to pitch to more contact, because you won't be max effort on every single throw. You're always going to have an advantage. You got like 4 different pitches that you can throw, and these guys are going against you. If we take a little off the velo and the ball's in play a little more and we're speeding it up and you can't pitch max effort, I bet you see a little tick down in arm injuries, and you're going to see more guys go the Greg Maddux route of pitch to contact, try to get guys out, stay in the game longer, not try to blow 100 pitches. I'm out in the 4th inning. I know that sounds super inside baseball.
No,
I think this is going to be the biggest rule change.
Well, because you couple that with the shift going away, and I think that just adds for more action. And then you get on and you steal. There was nothing that annoyed me more. And look, I know he just said his goodbye or his hellos to the Toronto fan base and the Blue Jays. Brandon Bell, why are you bunting?
Right.
Not just because you're getting on. What are you getting on first base to do?
Him waving the white flag. He needed 5 hits to score from second.
I'm trying to
my dad's joke.
I'm trying to get my average up or whatever. What are we doing?
Right.
You're a sitting duck on first. When you bunt, it's most of the time it's either for purpose, you're a drag bunter, you want to get on base, and then you steal. No, you being on first does absolutely nothing.
Does a lot for his bottom line, though, in terms of his batting average and his OBP and all the rest of the nonsense.
Selfish. To me, it honestly felt selfish.
Yeah, but at the same time, if he's looking at the defense thinking, I'm a four-hopper to second away from being out again, why not try to push a bunt and, move the line? We're trying to move the line.
It's fake hustle to me.
Yeah.
High schoolers, college players, they do this thing where when they got walked or hit by a pitch, they would sprint down. Couldn't stand it. Can't stand the fake hustle.
But see, this is what I would say on the belt. That in particular, that was him hurt at the end, and it was more sad than it was him trying to bunt to get on.
No,
he
did it before he was hurt.
They're trying to keep the defense honest, right? Like, I mean, if
I was talking about the bunt attempt at the end of the year, which was like his last.
He did it multiple times.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that I was thinking about when the Giants played the Marlins and they lost to the Marlins in that series back in 2003, the guy who killed them was Juan Pierre getting on base. When was the last time a guy getting on base caused so much havoc for the pitchers that they couldn't throw strikes? Not in the last series.
But the idea, like a lot of baseball, has now turned into what we used to know as American League Baseball, which is how many people
play
on
for
base
the 3-run home
when you hit your home run.
Yes.
And so that's
it's softball. It's adult softball.
Yeah,
Max Harris would be great in this
You're going to see it this year. I mean, I know that's a big part of their thought process. The Giants think that they're going to hit a lot of home runs this year.
I heard
the Giants think they're going to hit a lot of home runs
with 30 or more.
Whether they do or not, they're going to swing for them.
Why do you say that?
We're going to get into Kapler.
Why do you say that?
Here we go.
The whiff of arrogance is overwhelming, and that's where we're going to talk about why do fans resent. I don't think that they're at the hate level yet, but go back to Philadelphia, his time as a Phillies manager. They hate him. We don't hate him here. 107 wins is a great cologne.
No, Philly hates him.
But why do Giants fans resent Gabe Kapler? And the word I'm fixated by is arrogance.
This is inspired by you.
Did you see the tweet?
Yes. I saw what you wrote yesterday, which is that when Kapler comes up, the comments below.
Crazy.
I guess here would be my question, because Dibs, I completely hear what you're saying.
Can you do it like Kapler?
We'll get there
for the bit.
Infinite number of answers.
Just wait. All right. So we'll get there. But yeah, there's a way. There's an air. There's a way of talking and giving not a lot in the answers that I think bothers people. But are you attaching that to wins and losses? I mean, here's the other thing we said. This is my question. Is why would you get all triggered by a manager when we all know that a manager is truly middle management, like making very, very few dollars.
Here's the lineup.
Yeah, and few decisions now on a baseball field. So I think this is habitual, that when a team doesn't do well, you get mad at the manager.
Dave Roberts.
I don't think we can really do that anymore. That's not the guy anymore.
No, but that's just historically been the guy. I'm going to tell you right now, Gabe Kapler is no more arrogant or smug than Kyle Shanahan. Not to me.
Yeah, but Shanahan has accomplished more and took over, I would say, even more decrepit situation. And so I think that people feel like he's earned a little more of that arrogance. I agree with you. He is arrogant. He is exactly as arrogant.
I also
agree with you.
I think 49er players, whenever given the opportunity,
they ride
are
for him.
Kyle is the man.
They ride for him.
I don't hear that in the Giants clubhouse.
No.
Well, when Longo got pinch hit for it, and Longo is the third inning, and he gets pinch hit for it, he slams the bat. I was like, Longo, old school baseball guy, he is steam coming out of the ears.
You got people like Zach Littell who aren't even solidified in the majors, screaming into their glove and yelling at him on the mound. I mean, again,
and Kapler took him in the tunnel.
Sure
and then down to AAA.
And the next day, exactly. Next day, he's gone.
Let's get him out of here.
He's gone. So, yeah, I get it, but it's different in baseball now. If this does not go well for the Giants this year, I have a hard time pointing my first finger at him.
Will Farhan get a chance to hire a second manager?
No.
If this year, let's say off your thing,
76 and 86. No, it's all over.
You think they're both out?
I think they're a package deal.
I think so, too. I think so. Yeah, I think so.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's dependent on that, but you guys are like basing that off of a certain record that we don't know that to be the case yet.
No, but that's the record I threw out in terms of.
Let's say they go 80, 80 and 82.
Here's what I'm getting at. The biggest problem for the Giants right now
is roster.
Has not
the farm.
It's the farm.
Well, that's what roster to me.
Yeah. This goes away. Yeah. The second homegrown players come up and
If
succeed.
Schmidt shows
So
for
it
a
all
month,
goes away.
If Casey Schmidt comes up, he's a third baseman in their system. Okay, I know. I'm going real deep here. If he comes up and shows a little, just a little something.
Oh, God. 76 and 86, but Casey Schmidt shows a little, and Kyle Harrison makes 12 starts.
No. They need to be better than that. You want to know why?
They do.
They need to be better than that because it's
Where's Angel Villalona?
In a jail cell somewhere.
Where's Luis Matos?
Thank you.
Luis Matos, he's still in single A. High single
Great.
A.
Yeah.
High single,
Are
yeah.
we going to be monitoring Bruce Bochy this year? Because I think I might have an eye on them. Okay, yeah.
Absolutely. He's not coming back, but
I'm
monitoring him in terms of
what they do in Texas.
And that's why it's always tough to be the guy after the guy, and that's what Kapler's doing. But the sense of arrogance where my beard is always perfect, my body fat is 3.8, I cook my steaks perfectly. Absolutely.
We've talked about this with the Tom Brady type hate. You look at Gabe Kapler and he has time to be in shape, and I'm sitting on my couch and I'm not in shape, and he's just smug. Is that part of this?
Absolutely. And that's where Kyle Shanahan gets, I think, more of a pass because he's more of like a regular guy. You know,
he looks weathered.
He's just a goofy, nerdy kind of guy with a laminated play sheet.
Well, and listen, the dichotomy between the last regime and this regime is real. It is absolutely real. I want to point to something. So this happened, what's today, 21st? This was on the 19th, 2 days ago. Amy G tweets out a picture of a line of catchers at spring training for the Giants facility.
And Bart's not one of them.
She says, no, he is.
Okay.
Hey, Giants fans, prediction time. Who you got for 2023 opening day starting catcher? Tim Flannery replies.
I love Flan. He's the best follow.
Flan replies, if you want to know what the last regime and this regime actually think of one another.
What does the computer say? It's something to that effect.
Their computer will tell us when the information is all loaded up.
I knew it.
Right? Now, that's Boch's guy.
He jumped the line.
That's his guy.
Me?
Yeah.
But that's okay.
I just know. I know how Flannery said it.
Right.
You jumped the bit.
Now, listen, but no, he's out there in the woods with his guitar, and that's Flannery.
Yes.
He's not in the game anymore.
Ayahuasca with Aaron Rodgers.
Sure. But this is a thing. Like the idea that it was all perfect, like, oh, Boch, time for me to go. No, like he got forced out.
I totally agree.
He got forced out, and we've now proven that he wanted to manage again because he is. So, like, that's a thing. That's a real thing.
All right, we're going to get on out of here. Willard Dibs, I know you're going to be talking Gabe Kapler. Get in, 888-957-9570. Storyline I'm already sick of and it's making me really... The after-school special of Taylor and Tyler Rogers. Did you know that they're brothers? God.
Twins, right?
Oh, God.
If their ERA is both sub 2.5, it won't take you off anymore.
I know, but I'm already sick of that.
That's what the Giants need baseball to start.
95.7 the game.